Hi, thank you for joining me for my 10 tips of remaining calm in a storm. In case you're unfamiliar with me, I am Carol C.C. Miller. I live in Chicago and I have been a positive life strategist for over 15 years. What that means is I do positive mindset work with people, whether personally or professionally, on navigating their celebrations, their struggles, and their sorrows to create the life that they want to live and the life that they love. I've been doing it for a long time. I'm also the founder of Positive Focus and Global Free Hugs. So thank you for joining me. I'm excited to share these tips with you. So, just as you know, life doesn't always go as planned. Storms, both big and small, are inevitable, but it's how we navigate them makes all the difference. And I want you to think about that as we go through this 10 tips. Is some of our storms are small and we do get through them very quickly with minor challenges and minor disruptions. But some of them are big and they could be life altering. And those are the ones that are going to be more work to do and knowing there's going to be an ebb and flow. These 10 tips will help whether it's a small or a big storm, but there will be differences depending on how you need to navigate it and the length of the storm that you're dealing with. It's not a right or wrong, it's just where you're at right now. So let's move forward with that. And I also think it's important for people to know I'm not an absolutist. I don't believe in, I'm not a big fan of the words always, never, right, wrong, good or bad. There are 8 billion people on this planet, and I can't begin to say what is always right or never right for 8 billion people. I can determine what is right or wrong for me, and I prefer to look at it rather than a right or a wrong, what is healthy for me and what is not healthy for me, and navigate it that way. So I work on a scale of 0, always negative. I don't know anybody who's 0, and 100, always positive, and I also don't know anybody who's at the 100. I do know people who are closer to the 0 and closer to the 100, but my personal work is to navigate my values, which is being positive, loving, kind, compassionate, peaceful, and offering hugs. So I work on being on the scale of 80 to 100% of the time. I am those things, but I'm not those things all the time. I am not always kind. Often my unkindness is reflected on myself. I get angry, I get frustrated, I get sad and scared and feelings of unworthiness. But because of my tools, and I've been doing this for so long, I don't stay in those heavier energies as long and I move forward to feeling a little bit better. So that's why I work on the 80 to 100%. If you're just working on this and it's just kind of a new concept, I certainly don't expect you to be at 80%. But think about when you're over 50%, you're now focused on solutions rather than under 50. You're probably giving more of your attention to the problem at hand rather than possible solutions. Being under 50 is not wrong. It's just where you are right now. Feel it and then move forward to feeling a little bit better. So I would say the goal is to try to be at the over 50% the majority of the time. Again, those heavier emotions are not wrong. They are not bad. It's just how much time and energy and attention do you want to give them. So, tip one, here's where we're starting, and that's with awareness. When we're aware of how we feel, when we're aware of what's going on around us, we are in the driver's seat to make change or to stay afloat of what we're doing right now. When you're aware that you're happy, you can continue with your happiness. When you're aware that you're angry, you can feel what you need to feel and then move forward. Awareness puts you in the driver's seat. When you're on autopilot, and I do think a lot of people kind of go through their days on autopilot, you're not in the driver's seat. Life is living you. You're kind of reacting to whatever life is giving you rather than responding to what life gives you when you're in awareness. So focus on being in awareness. Tip two is breathe. Might seem like a strange tip because we breathe without being told to. Our heart beats without being told to beat. But often we are breathing shallow and we're not giving ourselves the oxygen to help our brains make clearer and better decisions, especially where we're in those heightened states of frustration or anger or sadness. We tend to constrict our breathing even more then. So, what you're going to do, because now you're aware of how you feel, you're going to stop and breathe. Take four or 3 to 5 breaths in, but you're gonna do it on a count of 4. Inhale on 4, hold for 4, exhale on 4, hold for 4, and repeat 3 to 5 times. This might not completely take away the feelings you have, but it is going to minimize it and bring you back into center and allow you to move forward with a little bit more clearer decision making. Tip 3, pause. Pause is such an important one. Prior to this doing this work that I've done now for 15 years plus, I was a knee-jerk reactor. You could call me, give me bad news, and I have that bad news on 60 when maybe the bad news should have been like at a 10. So the pause allows you to reflect on the situation rather than just react. It's going to give you the opportunity to respond rather than react. So what I like to do is ask you, when you're in that situation, when you're feeling really angry or feeling very scared or frustrated, and that storm is hard to navigate, is it right in this very moment unsafe for you? And most likely, that's an answer is no. Now, if it is a yes, these tips are not for you. You need to get the help that you need to get immediately and seek that help to support you in unsafe situations. But if the answer is often we tend to get frustrated or scared or worried about things that are going to happen in the future or we think they're going to happen in the future. And so the more that we can recenter ourselves and say, I am safe right now, I'm going to put myself in solutions mode. I might be able to completely negate what I'm worried about in the future, or at least I'll be able to minimize it because now I'm able to take the steps to make it a little easier to process. So pause. Tip 4, control. I like to be in control. I'm not in control of everything. I can control what I can control, but I don't have control of outside things. Like I can't control the weather. I can't control people who have authority over me in a variety of ways. I can influence what they're doing by speaking up however I can, but I cannot make that complete final change that maybe I'm angry about or maybe I'm frustrated or scared about. So know what you are in control of, because when you're in control of something, then you can shift and make changes. But when it's something outside of your control, yes, do what you can to make those influences, but don't let that overcome you and overwhelm you where you're giving all your time and energy to something that you truly cannot change because you don't have the capacity or authority to do so. So let that go. Focus on what you can make changes to and make positive changes to and move forward with that. Tip 5 is definitely my go-to is to find gratitude. And I think a lot of times, even when we're in a celebration mode and things are going well, we're not intentionally being grateful. The day is going well, so we're just happy and all is well. But I encourage you to be intentional about your gratitude. When the day is going well, be grateful for the people that you're talking to or the phone call or whatever that has you in that happy mood. Actually, call it out so you can be intentional about your gratitude. Now, when you're in the storm and things aren't going well, find the gratitude in those moments. And it may be hard, it may be some deep digging, but usually we can find some gratitude in that. And I like to do this personally and with clients, is when I have a person in my life, which you probably do too, that just hits those buttons immediately and just frustrates you immediately, or an experience you might be going through that is frustrating or has you angry. Ask yourself, what are 3 things I am grateful for about that person or that experience? And generally speaking, you're going to be able to come up with those 3 pretty quickly. My I would say I'm at a 98% for myself and my clients, and it de-escalates it. It minimizes the impact of that frustration because you're able to see the good in the situation too. For the 2% of the time where I'm unable to see the good in that person or the experience, I tell myself and my clients the majority of my relationships are easy. The majority of my experiences are kind and loving. So, this one hard experience or this one challenging person is not the overall experience that I'm dealing with. So I'm not going to give it more of my attention. I'm going to focus on the loving relationships I have. I'm going to focus on the loving experiences I have. And that is going to minimize the impact that person or that experience has over me. Tip 6, feel your feelings. As a positive person, especially 15 plus years ago, I was that person. Life is good. Be happy. Smile. Because I didn't want to feel feelings. I did not want to think of things being hard or challenging. And life is both beautiful and it is also messy. So we need to feel what we're feeling and move forward from there. Sadness, grief, frustration, anger, all of those heavier feelings are not wrong and they are not bad. It's just how much time and energy and attention do you want to give them? We all have a different time frame to move through things, especially depending on the size of the storm you're going through. So know it, feel it, and when you're ready to, take steps to feel a little bit better. But when we bury or ignore our feelings, they're still in our body and they're probably going to come back more powerful in ways that we don't even expect. And they're just going to come out of left field, so to speak. So the more you're able to feel them and witness them, they too want to be heard. They want to know that you're listening to whatever's got you scared, whatever has you frustrated. So feel your feelings. And when you're ready, move on to a better feeling thought. Tip 7 is a big one for me. And first, I have to say, I'm a word sensitive person. So words do hit me harder than it hits other people. But there's something important about the words that we use. They are powerful. And when we're angry about something, not always, but it could very well happen. You're going to say something that you're going to regret. Or you might even be saying something truthful, but you would not have said it if you weren't heated because you would know it's going to really hurt that other person. So you're aware that you're angry. You're going to pause so you can respond rather than react because you want to be able to take that anger and funnel it into positive change and be able to create a better situation for whatever's got you upset. And secondly, it really is important on how you're sharing your frustration or your anger or your sadness with somebody. Be intentional about it. Venting is not wrong, but if you vent without explaining and it just gets into a complain game, then you're feeding the complaint, you're feeding what doesn't work. So, what I like to do is I'll call a friend if I'm frustrated or angry about the person who tends to trigger me the most, and I'll say, I just need to vent about this because that needs to be heard and I need to be heard. You need to be heard. So when you set up that expectation, your friend isn't going to say, well, did you think about this? How about doing this? What was your part of it? And on and on and on, which are good things to do. But when you're in that heated space, you really aren't ready to hear solutions. You probably aren't ready to hear your part in what took place either. So vent, let them know. And sometimes my calls, I'm able to get into solution mode right there at that same time. Other times I need to wait and maybe I come up with the solutions outside of the call, but I'm still going to call my friend to let them know I'm okay because I've just spewed some heavy stuff with them and to let them know that I've come up with solutions, or I'm going to talk to them and say, hey, I'm ready to talk solutions now. But it is important to get it out of your body and then do something productive to bring the solutions forward. Tip 8, me to we. I think when we're going through some challenges or struggles, and it might be something that we're uncomfortable with, or it might be something we're embarrassed about, or who knows the reason, but it's very easy to feel isolated when you're in that storm and feel like nobody else has faced this storm before. And maybe your immediate family hasn't faced what you're dealing with right now. So it does feel isolating. But there are 8 billion people out there, so someone else in this world has experienced something similar and has moved through it. So I just want you to know that you're not alone in this. And I do encourage you to seek support, especially if you're dealing with a life altering storm that you need that support to move through, whether it's professional or seeking the support of a trusted friend to help you through it. And then, secondly, it really is helpful when you're dealing with challenges in your own life is to volunteer and help other people who are in challenges. Doesn't have to be the same challenge, but somebody else, because when we put ourselves in other people's shoes and connect as a community, we go from me to we. And that also is going to de escalate our own challenges that we're dealing with. Tip 9, and this was a challenging one for me when I first learned it. And it was somebody had said, you can't love and worry at the same time. I believe many of us have grown up believing that when we love somebody, when we show worry, we're showing that we love them. Be safe. drive carefully, make sure you lock your doors, all the things that we do because we're worried about people we love. It's very common and it's very normal to worry, but it's a lower energy. So, what I encourage you to do when you find yourself, you're aware that you're in the worry phase, is to shift it and turn it into a loving response instead. If even if it's not something you're saying specifically to the person, but you're worried about them, sit there, maybe close your eyes and think about them and send them love. Let them feel that they're safe. I like to say happy flight instead of, worried about somebody flying kind of thing. So do what you can to minimize the worry and maximize the love. They cannot exist together. You can have loving thoughts and then worried thoughts and loving thoughts and worried thoughts, but they can't exist together. So when you're aware that you're worried about yourself, others, the situation, send it love. And tip 10, find your anchor. And your anchor is things that bring you back into who you are, bring you back to knowing you're going to be okay, and make you smile. For me, music is one of my go tos. I have it on a lot. I have several playlists of happy music, inspirational music, upbeat music. I'm a big water person. So when I go to the lake or I like to be on boats, that helps shift me. Going out in nature, dancing, journaling, doing art, whatever it is that brings you back into feeling in your body and feeling good. Have a list of it in your back pocket. So when you're aware that you're starting to spin out, you can pull those out when you're ready to move forward, get a little bit better feeling thought. And while we can't control the storm, we can control how we show up in it. Practicing these tools helps us stay grounded and navigate challenges with resilience and self compassion. The next time storm is thrown your way, remember you had the power to steady yourself during it. So be gentle with yourself. Any of these tips are probably not going to happen in the very first try. It's a practice that when you're aware of how you're feeling, then you can shift. And I encourage you very much to be gentle with yourself because beating yourself up thinking I should be aware by now is just going to keep you stuck in the harder feelings. It's not going to help you move forward. So be gentle, be kind, be loving and compassionate to yourself, and try on these tips. I hope that they help you. You're the one who's going to see if they work for you. They have helped me and clients. So thank you so much for joining me and have a wonderful rest of your day.